Alright, yay! I think everything should be up and running right now. Let's just see. Yeah, okay, yay! Cool, things are doing things. So, today I am going to be working on... Well, firstly, hello everyone, sorry about that. Yeah, I finally figured out what was wrong. Last time I was streaming with my tablet, and it was just that, you know, new computer, we didn't properly install the tablet software, so it essentially behaved like some barbaric, like, mouse operating thing. It was just terrible. But it is fixed now, so we should have, yay, crisp lines, and it is not as sensitive as it was last time, so that's fantastic. But yeah, what I'm doing today is some concept art for a game that I'm working on with some friends. Yeah, and I need to now design an elderly villager. So he's going to be this wise old NPC villager man person. But yeah, it's gonna have super basic features. I'm just gonna focus on the face for now, just so I can get a general feel for this character, because I mean he's an old guy, and I want to emphasize on the fact, like, no, he's old, he's been around for long enough. And the fun thing about drawing, like, super old people is all the wrinkles and, like, the exaggerated features, because in reality, your nose never stops growing. Fun fact. And because of that, you normally see, especially in cartoons, like, old people with these super exaggerated features, and I'm actually really looking forward to doing that. So yeah, yay! Old people! Super sweet. That is the first nose I could think of for old man. We need a name for this old man. You guys can let me know what you think we should call him. Hello, awkward little bird. So yes, please help me think of a name for said old man, but you know, you can wait until he actually has like a proper face. Maybe that might help. That normally helps me come up with names. If I actually know what said person should look like. Not shift, control. Yes. Alright. But yeah, I also finally fixed the link for watchmework.com. So hello everyone over yonder as well. So yeah, it's super cool. I mean, those are the people that actually like asked me and approached me to start doing live streams, so please go support the channel and everyone else there. It's a really cool collaborative type of deal where you can just go on and then you get paired with some different people, and I mean, like, yeah, it's fun, it's cool, you get to meet new people, you get to see other people do some cool stuff, and everything varies from like basic illustration sketches to 3D modeling to even architecture. So whatever you enjoy watching, I am pretty sure that they will have something for you to watch and learn from. And yeah. Alright. He seems to have a basic structure going on now. Doesn't look that old yet, but he's got some basicness. Things working, doing its thing. Doop. Gotta get all that droopy skin doing its thing. Would that work? Cheekbone, dent. Yes. That seems almost looks like a thing. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Alright. Yes, old man is starting to look like old man. Alright. Pardon me for a second. Let me just close the door for a moment. Yeah, sorry, the people yeah, the person whose equipment I am actually borrowing because he is such a lovely person. They should be arriving anytime soon, and his dog is just doing her barky things. But yeah. Sorry, I am still not very good at like the multitasking, writing, typing thing, but I'll get the hang of it eventually. But yeah, I feel like the basic structure of his face is doing decent old man facey things. So I'm so sorry. I will get this. This will work. Ah, okay. So it's between Uncle George and Uncle Melvin for his name so far. But we are not done yet. This shall man, not shift, control. Apparently, my knowledge of from mapped PC, that whole thing hasn't kicked in yet. Alright. So basic face is basic. It's got it. Gonna do the little gap. Oh, actually, wait. Shh, go away, phone. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Alright. Nose. Boop. The little lip denty thing. Okay, that's a bit skew. No, those are not nice lips. But he does not need a teardrop tattoo, Brian. He is not a murderer, he's not in prison. He's just old and wise and a villager with ear hair. Yes. Right there, I think. Ooh, hello. I think that should cover it. Yeah. Yes, there we go. I think I can count on my hand, like, the amount of times I've had to draw old people. So, yes. Look at me expanding my horizons. You should all expand your horizons. Go draw something new. Go eat something different. I don't know. Do something weird. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Alright. Bum, bum, bum. Top lip is not working for me on this one. Alright, there we have the basic structure for old man, either George or Melvin. We are still to decide. Now, 'tis time for facial hair. So for that, I think I'm just gonna make another layer so that if I need to erase, which I probably will, I can just erase the facial hair and not everything else. Because do we want to give him like a super long, majestic beard? Or just a simpler beard? Do we want to give him a mustache? No. No, I'm not digging the mustache. Because that's the thing. The facial hair and, well, the normal hair can either make or break your old person. I've realized. Especially, like, if you don't know how to properly draw, like, a bold spot. There we go. That's looking frail and thinned. I think. I hope. Bum, bum, bum. Yes! Oh my soul! I'm so on a roll today! Ah, yes! I'm so happy. And then the very cartoony little boom! Look at him. I feel like he's a George. I'm sorry, Brian. Sottle won this one. I feel like he's a George. That looks like a George. And dun, 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 dun. I've been playing this new game with Brian, and it's called A Hat in Time. It has the loveliest soundtrack, or one of the loveliest soundtracks I've heard in games. And it is just super fun to listen to, and it makes you feel all productive and things, and it is just in my head now. It's great. Yeah, sorry, someone on the other website at Watch Me Work just asked me about my accent. Because he's also from South Africa. He's also doing some cool live streamy things. And yeah, but my accent is not typically like South African English, but it's kind of a combination between like TV and people in my mind. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong layer. Yeah, as far as I can tell, like most of my accent comes from, well, first it was incredibly British, very much so, and that was purely because of Harry Potter. Like I could quote every single line from the first movie by heart. It's an obsession, and I'm proud of it. It was great. But yeah, and then as I matured and went on in life, you know, kind of losing the English accent, then it went very much American at some point, and then I don't know, it's now a combination of various accents, but I have never actually had a proper South African English accent. And that's also probably due to the fact of when I grew up and started to learn English. When I started to learn English, all of that, I'm sorry, my mind is kind of different places. But when I grew up and kind of started learning English, I was in Limpopo, in Bosveld, Platteland. Not necessarily the area that you associate with high English. So if I had to adapt the accent of my area, that would have been atrocious. It would have been like full on proper like Boere Afrikaanse accent. That would have just been terrible. But yeah. Okay, actually, you know what? I think this guy is pretty good. I think I'm not gonna give him too much facial hair. He's decent. He's got a nice chilled expression, because I'm just trying out different types of people, different types of, well, elderly people, different types of looks that I can go for this character, see what works. But yeah, alright, cool. So if those are the basics for his face, we can maybe just add a little bit of body so that we can have some context as to, you know, his rank, his status, what he would be wearing, what area he would be from. So I'm designing the characters mostly for the like entry beginner level, like where you start the game, and they are essentially in a forest, and the forest then branches out into the different locations, and you can either go to the swamp or to like some deserty, desolate area, some underwater stuff, some pretty cool, really fun to design environments. But for now, our Uncle George, pleb farmer from Forest Village, their colors are obviously a bit more, because they're also not a very wealthy village, a bit more to the poor side, so the colors that they have are obviously some muted greens, some browns, little bit of purple highlight here and there, but predominantly focusing on your very natural earthy colors. But if I'll do the main character Freya at some point as well, you guys can sort of just see what she looks like. She's adorable. Oh my soul, I love her. But yeah, if you look at her clothing design, and can I just say it took us forever to decide on a palette or color palette that worked. But yeah, she's got some really nice patterns on the shawl that she wears, and that was given to her by this village. So even though it's a very poor village, the way that you kind of differentiate between them and somewhere else will be some nice pretty patterns. So I think I'm gonna add that, just a few details here and there. I'm gonna add that on his, either this little jacket thing of his or in the details here in his cuffs. Dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun. Bow, bow, bow. Oh, you guys should really just go listen to that soundtrack. Ooh, hello dog. It's super cute. Right, but those are basic structures. I'm just gonna name this one Outline. Alright, cool. So obviously, like I said in the last video as well, you just start everything with your... Any scars? I'll decide whether or not I'm gonna give him some scars, probably a few scratches here and there, but like he's not so much a warrior, so the scars that he would have would be mostly on his arm, or his hands and his arms. You know, some... How do you pronounce this word? I always struggle with it. Casual, whatever. The rough things on your hands. So he'd mostly have some of that. But yeah, as I was saying, if you start out with any sketch, like you have this great idea in your mind, and very rarely it actually translates onto page. But yeah, it's alright, it's cool. You just need to start with your basics, and then from there you go. So I can see it. Alright, but yeah, when you're done with your basics, you're done with your rough, sketchy outlines, then you kind of just go over to your main outline. So that's how I do it. But when you do your outlines, you want to just lower the opacity of the other two layers. Or, yeah, excuse me. You want to lower the opacity of the other layers so that when you do the outline, you're not too distracted, it's not too cluttered, and then you can just focus on like seeing what really matters, what should be the main focus. And also, this was my biggest issue last time when I was drawing, is having your pen pressure sensitivity on. Like, it makes the world of difference when you're drawing, especially for your line work. And just to show you what that does, that is with no pressure, that is a lot of pressure. And this is obviously one size that you just kind of determine by yourself. So, oh, no, cancel, what did I do? So, when you're doing your line work especially, you want your brush or your pressure sensitivity to be on, because you want like a bit of a variety in your brush strokes. It just makes your artwork seem a bit more lively, a bit more diverse, a bit more realistic, honestly. And it's just lovely. It adds a bit more dynamic to that what you're drawing. Bit of depth. Yeah. So normally, if I do my outlines, I put every different aspect of the character on a different layer. For example, I'd have the skin on one layer, and then I'd put the hair on a different layer, and the eyes on another one, and so forth and so forth. So that for here, if I don't necessarily know exactly what colors I want to use yet, then I can always just go back and change it. But then obviously if I make the skin, you know, really dark and tan because, you know, he's a farmer, then I don't accidentally change the color of his hair to be the exact same thing as well. So just for that little bit of admin, having things on separate layers makes it easier when you go back, and believe me, you'll backtrack. That is just the way of art, unless you're specifically doing like a one layer challenge or like whatever. Bye, Brian. So yeah, but I think for this one, because this is still just some super basic concept sketches, I'm just gonna keep them on one layer. It's gonna be super simple. If I want to change some colors and some things, I'm just gonna clip mask everything, and I will get to clipping masks in a bit. Clipping masks, oh my soul, are like life. They're amazing. I think one of the best tricks I learned for Photoshop was clipping masks. Like, ugh, they just made my life so much easier. But here, for example, I think I'm probably gonna put his hair on a different layer in any case, just because the texture is very different from the rest of him. Also, a personal thing is I normally almost religiously put the eyes on a different layer as well, including like just the outline, the basic shape and everything, because I really like drawing eyes. They're super fun. Therapeutic almost. But then again, almost every form of drawing I find quite therapeutic. It makes me relax, make me feel better about life. I think my grammar just now was slightly atrocious, but you know, it's fine. English is technically my second language, so y'all gotta forgive me. There we go. A bit more dramatic, dynamic. Bum, bum, bum. Alright, he's still doing pretty good. Let's see. Oh, alright, very well. Either way, if you guys can't stay to the end, that's super fine. I really appreciate it, and I really love the fact that you guys like actually come to watch me. It means a lot to my face. But yeah, I know I promised I'd post the, what's the word I'm looking for? The process video of the one I did last week, and I promise I am working on it. I just fell a bit behind schedule with my campus work, and it's a bit hectic, and all of it's going a bit weird, but it's fine. I will post it, I promise. But even for this guy, because I'm actually using him for different things, I kind of have to finish him. So if I don't post a video on YouTube or watch me work, I will definitely post an image or picture of it on Instagram, so you guys can follow me there, catch some updates and things. But it should be done at some point. But yes, thank you for joining. Brilliant. Need to learn to type faster. And type without panicking, and, you know, correct spelling and caps locks. Because I hate it when people just type messages and, like, they don't have, like, a city's name in caps. Or, you know, it starts with a capital letter like it should. Like it is grammatically accepted. And now I'm doing the exact same thing on the other website and I feel so bad. But I also don't want to have you guys just awkwardly sit there and watch. It's also not fun. I don't know. Maybe you're weird like that. Ah, excuse me. I think probably gonna go back to my old ways, and I'm just gonna, yeah, Jose. Weird things are happening. Alright, focus here, mouse. Alright, okay, I'm sorry, things just did weird things. Close. Yeah, I'm gonna keep everything on separate layers. Old habits die hard. So yeah, we're just gonna, yeah, no. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Ah. No. Rejected. Yeah, I saw someone on Instagram post about this earlier today, and it's something I had to deal with as well when it comes to just drawing and deciding on your process, where a lot of the times I would draw something and one small aspect of it I thought, like, yeah, that looks great, that looks good, but the rest of it was really terrible. And then I didn't want to delete it or erase it because I thought like, oh no, I could never redraw that exact same thing as it was there, and it will never be perfect. Which is a very bad mindset to have, especially if you're busy with the first steps of creating an artwork. It's supposed to be messy and you erase. Don't be afraid to erase. And if you change your mind like halfway through the drawing, that's fine. Then change your mind, erase, start again, start over, because you'd rather be happy with the final product than just happy with one line or one aspect of the drawing and then everything else is a bit meh. You don't want to deal with that. No one wants to. So yeah, like, don't be afraid to erase and redraw and paint over and scratch and just delete. It's a good drawing habit to learn. Obviously don't redraw everything if it doesn't look perfect immediately, because it might not look perfect immediately, and that is also okay. If it's that angle. But yeah, I had to really force myself to learn how to just... Hey! More people! Yes! But yeah, you want it to be done well, but not necessarily perfect. The perfect can come afterwards. You can always go back, redraw, edit, tweak, because that's the great thing about, you know, digital art. Like, nothing is final. Like, even if you post it, you can just go delete it. It's fine. Redo it. Redraw. That's also, you know, good thing. I must say, that was also something I really enjoyed. Earlier this year, I did a redraw of one of, like, my drawings. I think it was last year, or the end of 2 years ago, like end 2016, and then I redrew it in the beginning of this year. And it was really just lovely to see that the progress that I made and the personal growth. And it's something that I think a lot of artists don't allow themselves to see. And, well, I mean, this also applies to any aspect of your life. It's not just art or artists. It's just to allow yourself some praise and to be like, you know what, you have grown, you have improved, it's okay. To now and then just kind of stop and pat yourself on the back and say, good job, you. Like, you improved. And that's all that can be expected of you. Or that's all that should be expected of you. And whether or not it's improving in schoolwork, or if it's taking on spiritual growth, or if it's your artwork, as long as you can stop after a while and look back and say like, hey, I've actually made some progress, I can see some change, I can see some improvement, or I learned something, that is also, it's such a gratifying feeling. And not to be like, oh, my soul, look at me, I'm amazing, my stuff is awesome. That's not the point. Because no matter how good you are, there's always someone who's better. That is just a fact of life. People need to accept it, and that is also okay. It's fine. But as long as you can be like, you know what, I improved, I learned a thing, and the way I can tell, personally, that I can tell that, yeah, I've improved, even if it's just the way of looking at a piece of artwork, is if I can, like on Instagram, for example, I follow some really cool artists, like damn, sometimes I'm like, they're just so talented. But sometimes I see something that someone posted, and I am just like, oh, my soul, why am I so bad at life? Why I will never be this good? Cry, you know, stuff. And, you know, later on, like a few months down the line, if I go back and I look at the same piece of artwork, or I just look at the artist in general, and in my mind I can be like, you know what, actually I can understand and I can see how they approached this, how they did this, how they managed to like how they managed to create that's when I know that, yeah, I have actually improved. And like I said, whether it's by just the way that I see artwork or actually the way that I create my own artwork, that little bit of improvement, it gives you such a confident boost, and it is fantastic. Alright, let's move on to hair. Ugh, my throat is doing horrible throat things. Starting to look a bit weird. No. It's my one weakness when it comes to drawing hair, is like the rough sketch looks, it creates such a full body, and you're like, yeah, no, that will totally work as soon as I like make more defined lines, and you're like, no, do better hair things. Well, you know, he's old. His hair should be thinning. It'll probably be okay. This is still not entirely great. Shaky lines. See, no. Now I can realize where I made my proportion mistakes. Because if you think about it logically, his hair or his head can be shaped like that. Not as far back as I've drawn it over there. So, erase, fix. Actually, wait, before I do that. This one, erase over there. Actually, wait, just keep that reference for now. Outline. Just lower the opacity a bit. Alright. Alright. See, that looks a bit better already than taking it so far back. Okay, I'll keep that up for now. Then the hair. Let's see. Can literally... Yeah, one perk of drawing it a bit more fragmented. Control. And free transform. Ooh, no. Yeah, okay, that seems a bit better. Do. A little bit of sideburn. Alright, cool. I think that's enough for his hair. Maybe. Oh yeah, wait. His beard. I forgot about his beard. I must say that's one thing I also struggle with a bit is when I draw facial hair, because yes, I am incredibly sexist. I normally only draw girls because I don't know, it is just is easier and girls are more fun to draw because curves, yo. But when I do draw a character that has facial hair, it is so difficult for me to shade sometimes. I don't know, because like having that, the color of the hair, then fade into the face, because I'm not just gonna color in every like individual hair. Nobody got time for that. Yeah, so that's something I still struggle with now and then. Alright, cool. Now for the eyes. The window to the soul. Eyes. Alright, cool. Mega close up. Might be a bit too close. I'm sorry, I really just have that one little bit of the theme song in my head. And I can't get rid of it. It's just so damn cute. If you have some time, please go look at A Hat in Time. It is such a cute game, and the soundtrack is really nice. So, go play it, people, or go listen to it. It's adorable, you'll thank me later. And then the other thing that I like about the game is everything in the game is just meant to be fun. It's not a particularly difficult game. Nothing they do in the game is revolutionary or, you know, that wow, but it's just so enjoyable. And it's so fun and it's so lovely, and you just, life is great when you play it. And it's so full of nonsense. It's fantastical. And yeah, go play it, go see it, do things about it. I seem a bit dark now. And this, folks, is why I put things on different layers. Because I do not want to redraw his wrinkles as well. Alright. So these are the very, very terrible outlines for his face holes, or his eyes, however you name them. yeah, and then besides that, I also just make a separate layer for... I always get confused, or... Like, that technically counts as your... What's the difference between your pupil and your iris again? Because I had biology. I knew this. I wrote tests on this. But I forgot this. But yeah, I make a separate layer for this particular part of the eye. Insert anatomy wood here. Yeah, also have this on a separate layer because the eyes aren't necessarily, or the eyelids and stuff aren't necessarily going to be the same color as insert anatomy name here. And then that particular outline, I make a darker shade of whatever color I want the eye to be. It's either the iris or the pupil, and I think the pupil is the black dot. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so they will just be their own little, I'm just gonna call it iris for now. Boom. If I'm wrong, I can change it. Alright, I think his outlines are essentially done. Super basic, super straightforward. Get rid of that. It's a weird ass chin situation going on here. But yeah, after you like went over all your basic sketch lines, you got the outlines working, then you can go back and, well, after you hide the other layers, then you go back and just see, do the lines work? Are they varying enough? Are they varying too much? Do they like just not gel at all? Because like this annoys me and that annoys me. Because they don't seem like they would actually go together. Yeah, don't do that. Alright, but I think enough of the outlines for now. Let's start coloring! Yay! The fun parts! Woo! Wait, let's fix the fun part! Woo! Oh hey! Family! The pupil's the black dot. Yes! Way to go! Biology, high school, education! Yeah! Got it right. Booyah! Could also just probably Googled, but effort, look at me. Involving you guys. Alright, cool. But alright, our outlines are done. Look at old man George. Ain't he lovely? He seems like a nice guy. Very tired. He's a tired farmer. And now we can start with some flat colors, and I normally just start with the skin. And okay, I know like every person's layering naming system is going to be completely different. That is all due to your personal taste. But those who have worked in digital art and working with different layers, I'm pretty sure that you've noticed that it can get very busy, and some projects can have 60 different layers, depends how detailed you want to go. So I kind of just, for a quick visual cue, I just keep all my outlines capitalized and all my base colors and things just low caps. So that way, if I just look over really quickly, I can tell what is what and make a bit of sense of life. Okay, So if you, in Photoshop, if you just press L, it brings up this lovely key. Man, don't gradient fill that. It brings up this lovely key just called the lasso tool. And with the lasso tool, you can just kind of go and select a whole area, and then you can just press G and it brings you the paint bucket tool, and it will just fill the part that you selected. If you want to deselect it, you just go Command D or Control D, depending on what computer you're using or what system you're using. And then yeah, the bulk of your coloring is done. And it also helps if you just want to quickly see, like, does the color work for you or not? Because sometimes a color looks super great if you just like color pick it, but when you actually like put it onto your subject, you're like, ugh, nee, sisa, spreight. Like this one, for example, I'm not very happy with it. But this can be changed. This can be altered. Also, a nice tip that an illustration lecturer taught me is when, especially if you're working with color, don't work with a completely white background, because that distorts your perception of a color. Yeah, because the completely white background, it makes it seem very bright. You don't necessarily pick up all the contrast that you want to. So you work with a slightly grayer background just to mute the harshness of that bright light. And then it gives you a better idea of what the color actually looks like when you compare it to the other colors, or if you then try to color match, etc, etc. Also, I made this mistake and it took me so long to realize what was happening. If you press X on your keyboard, it swaps those two colors around, your foreground and background color. And so often I would just press something, I don't know what I did, and then it would be the wrong color and I would freak out and be so angry. But yeah, if you just press X, it swaps between those two, so yay. Alright, but like I said, I'm not too happy with this color. It just doesn't seem right to me. Now I'm going to teach you about the amazingness, which is clipping masks. Alright, so you just create a new layer, you right click, and you just say create clipping mask. So what this does is essentially it creates a layer that clips itself onto the layer beneath it. So anything on my skin layer, which is just this color, it will like refill it. Let's use something very dramatic quickly. Let's make him pink. G. And there you have alien who looks like he belongs in Guardians of the Galaxy, because all their aliens were just different colored humans. But yeah, so that tool is fantastic. It makes your life so much easier. Everything is just quicker, it's simpler, it works. And that way, if you want to create gradients or whatever, because even if you don't, let's say I'm happy with this color, I don't really want to change it, but now I want to add some shading and some detail, then, you know, just go for a dark color, make my brush a bit bigger, take that, and there you go. So now it's not gonna go anywhere besides the skin layer I want it to. And now you can do better shading than that, but now you can shade without having to like micromanage so that you don't, you know, color out of the lines or whatever. But yeah, okay, let's see. I wish I could make this a bit bigger. So I'm not, it seems a bit too yellowy. Because he has to be a bit more darker skin, because he is a farmer. He'll be out in the sun, and although it's a forest, so it's not necessarily plains, it's a bit more, it is covered, it is shaded, but he's still out there working hard, so he will be a bit more tan than everyone else. There we go. I like that. That's a bit better for me. Because yeah, that's the fun thing about character design, is if you're drawing anything, even if you're not necessarily designing a character for something, you just drew, but this now you want to color it. and this is what I love about drawing people, is you create a history, a backstory, some context that would determine what this character looks like, why they look like that. So, for example, knowing that he's a farmer, so he'll have a bit darker skin, his hands will be rougher, he's not gonna be the most well-kept, neat old man. That adds to the believability of the character, and that adds to what you want to portray. Okay, let's go for the shirt. So that will be the bottomy bit. I think I'm gonna go brown bottom, green top. And you would not believe how many different shades of brown there are. And how many shades of brown look absolutely terrible. Had to learn the hard way. Going through like a billion different colors. No, wrong. Red lasso tool again. But yeah, and something else that it boggles my mind, but it's something you have to be aware about, especially when you start coloring characters, but especially backgrounds or environments, is how a color looks next to a different color. Because, for example, how do I explain this? If you go look at a lot of like very amazing dramatic backgrounds, super nice environmental studies, and you go color pick, like you drop the image into Photoshop, and you color pick a shade, and you see that, because it looks like brown, you know, the shading, the darker color looks like brown, but when you color pick it, you realize, oh, it's actually purple. And that's something I find very intriguing, but it's so confusing sometimes, is different colors will look like a different color depending on which other color you put next to it. There's a lot of colors in that sentence, I'm sorry. But yeah, so that's also something you need to be aware of if you're picking a color or picking a color palette. Just understanding how it might translate next to a different color. But that was my whole comment about the browns. Like, sometimes a brown on its own, it looks so nice, and you're like, oh yes, this is the brown that I want. And then you put it next to the other color, and you're like, oh Lord, no. But yeah, some color comments. But his green will, like I said, be a bit more muted, because they're not the most well-off village, but poorer. Right, I should name that layer. I didn't look what I was doing. There you go. Deselect. Dun, dun, dun. Hello, Dormuder. I will probably give him a hat eventually, but for now, because the whole point of the study is just to create a look and a feel for my elderly village man, I will add some accessories. That's the word. I'll add some accessories a bit later on. So for now, I just want to get like the basic face, some textile ideas and references, see how they do. Oh, yeah. What the fuck? Oh. My bad. I don't know what just happened. Oopsie. Alright, it's not a train wreck. Everything's back. I pressed the wrong button. Eh. Yeah, the more I zoom in, the more I realize, you have not been coloring inside the lines, have you? That's okay. I'll go back and fix that in a moment. But yeah, something I learned is take extra care when you do your base colors. Well, for me anyway, because I use clipping masks and they essentially just read whatever is below them. So if on your base layer you colored slightly out of the line, or you know, not entirely, then if you put on your clipping mask, then it's gonna show or not show the way that you want it to, and that is a problem. And then you gotta go back, realize what the problem is, like now, just adding all these tiny little details and fixes. So yeah, when you do your colors, do the effort, scrutinize it a bit, just see where you're outside the lines or not close enough. Here it will also help, especially if you're working with lighter colors, close to your background. Change the background color to something darker so that you can actually properly see, like, is it actually as smooth and clean as I think it is? No, it is not. Kirsty. Oh, it was. My shirt layer is just a bit wonky. Yeah. Right. Oh, also in case you don't know, hello dog. Instead of having to just go do things manually color-wise, if you want to just eyedrop a color, just press I on your keyboard and it brings up the eyedropper tool. And then just, you know, B again for brush or E for eraser. So yeah, there's something they taught us in our first year especially, or they're supposed to teach you, but I don't think a lot of people did it, but is learn the shortcuts, and it makes life a lot easier. And my friend taught me the brush size shortcut the other day, which are the brackets on your keyboard to make it your brush bigger or smaller. Ugh, it's saving me so much time. Like, you don't understand how much shortcuts literally, like, save you some extra time. Because yeah, sure, it might take you like a few more seconds. Also, like, stay on the brushing. Cool. Because like this, what was I saying? Yeah, knowing the shortcuts, it just saves you a lot of time. And it might take you like a few seconds to just go to like change it manually up here and do your things, and then it's not a lot of time. But if you add all of it together by the end of a project that might take you a couple of days to do, that adds up to quite a lot of time. Okay. Right. Oh, wait. I won't say that yet. I don't like his colors. Let's see if we can change this a bit. Clipping mask. It's the original green. I think he needs a bit more, slightly darker, muted. Yeah, that looks a bit more peasant-y. Maybe a bit more. No, this one looks a bit better. For the brown. But yeah, the one thing about clipping masks, or the one negative thing, is it can like clutter your layers really quickly, because it's essentially having 2 layers for every layer. But it's worth it. It makes it a lot easier to do the color corrections and just see what works, what doesn't. Now I feel like he's a bit too muted. Actually, this might work. We're gonna give him some gray hair. We'll just give him some really bright eyes that will like bring him out a bit more. It should be good. Something doesn't look entirely right on YouTube right now. Oh wow, it seems like it jumped back quite a bit. Alright, whatever, it's fine. I'll continue with this in a second. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like I said, we'll make his hair white, we'll give him some really bright, interesting colored eyes, and that will make him stand out a bit. And then if we're gonna go like full on background shading, some nice lighting, then it could work. It could work. We can make old man George beautiful. But yeah, like I said, if you don't want all the clipping masks to clutter your layers as much as you do, or as they do at the moment, you can always right click again and just say merge down, and that creates it, or it makes it one single layer again. And yeah, it's lovely, it's awesome. Merge down. Never say release clipping mask, because then it just kind of puts everything all over the place. Alright, that is done. I'll just call this, because I don't really know what you would call that, like top shirt. It shall henceforth be known as a top shirt. Dun, dun, dun. Right, let's do his hair. on here. All right. Giving some nice white old manny hair. Then, when I am done with the base colors, I will, because I am technically over my hour now, but that's so chilled. Then I'm just quickly going to show you guys why I put all the outlines and stuff on a separate layer as well. Because changing the outline color also does a lot for the look of a drawing. Like, it's something so simple, but it makes such a big difference. And if you look at an anime called No Game No Life, for example, it's such a vibrant, colorful, bright anime, and the biggest reason for it is because the outline of the characters is purple. And not a dark purple, it's a light, almost lilac purple. And where with every other anime, like more old school anime, all the outlines are always black, they went with a lilac outline and everything looks bright, vibrant, almost digital. It looks like a game, which is the whole like point, the whole vibe, the aesthetic that they're going for. And it's so amazing, and literally most of that was just because they changed the outline color. So, you know, you obviously don't have to go for a lilac color, but something simple like, because what I do these days is I change the color for every object that I am, you know, coloring. So the skin outline would be a different color to the clothing outline, or the hair, or the whatever it is that you're doing. And it creates a different kind of atmosphere that I really like. And it's a bit of variation, then obviously depending on, again, what you want to go for, the feeling you want to portray. It can be a very helpful tool to capture that exact feeling. This is where the whole thing I talked about, facial hair shading, especially for beards, like, how does this work? So don't necessarily take my advice on beard shading. Go find someone who's a bit better at this. Why did that change? Alright, whatever, it's fine. Yeah. But I should probably just let's do that, make it a bit blurred, lower the opacity. Then we can have a bit of a softer transition. Dun. Right, old man. Starting to look like something. Okay, he's really white, so he might not be a farmer anymore, because I don't think this old guy can bend that good anymore. But he used to be a farmer. Old man George used to be the best farmer. Right. Then lastly, let's just make the base for the eyes. So white. That will be, just keep it this color, it's fine. with the eyeball. And then a base for the eye color. And I think let's give the old guy some interesting eyes. So I want to go green, but let's try this. That's very green. Okay, no. Let's go wise old man and go almost icy blue. Let's see if that works a bit better. Oh, no, wait, no, I was wrong. I think that works a bit better. It might be a bit monotone still. But whatever, I'll get to that in a bit. So, now that you've got your base layers down, your base colors, all of that jazz, now let me show you what I mean with changing the outlines. The outline color, create clipping masks. Normally I actually do this before I put down the base colors, and I will show you why, but for the sake of just presenting a bit more of a completed project, this is what I'm doing. Okay, cool. So I have my skin layer selected. I want to blur this a bit for now still, and I'm now changing the outline of the skin color. That creates a bit of a softer look. It's a more modern technique that a lot of animes, a lot of illustrators are doing. I quite like it. It makes your drawing seem, like I said, softer, more, I don't know, I just like it. It works. No, wait, wrong one, brush. And now, because I didn't put the eyebrows on a different level, because layer, not level, because I was indecisive still, it's, you know, changing to the skin colors thing, but I can change it just like that, go there, a bit darker, there you go, old man gray eyebrows. But this is why I normally do the outlines first, because when it's a black outline, you don't necessarily see how off the colors really are, because black, I don't know, it just messes with your what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. It messes things up. And like here, you don't know what is actually what. And there's probably a far quicker technique to doing this out there, but this is what I'm comfortable with. And yeah, I'll probably change my technique over time when I find something better, more efficient, etc, etc. But for now, this works for me, and it's my jam, and I'm sticking to it. Right, we'll go to the hair layer. Oh hey! What up, dude? My friend from Instagram is joining us. He's a legit bro. go follow his Instagram page. He creates the most amazing, like, reality morphing Photoshop things you've ever seen in your life. It's amazing. And he's a nice guy, so, you know, double points! Thank you, kindly. You're so nice. But yeah, so now, as soon as I change the outline of things, I normally have to go back again and just fix and adjust and see where the mistakes were, what I did wrong, where I can fill the spaces in between. But that's fine. No art is instant, unless you do abstract and you just want to throw stuff on a canvas, but debate for a different day. But yeah, you're gonna go back and forth a lot when you draw and when you do these things. But it's fun, it's fine. It comes with the trade. And you're welcome. Your stuff is really legit. You deserve love and followers. It's great. Right, but now you get the general idea of what happens when you change the outlines. But wait, there's more. You'll see it a bit better if there's some more atmospheric shading and input like that. But to even further the niceness of the outline art is, okay, that is selected, and now when I color the line, or if I go do shading on the nose, it's gonna be a bit redder than the rest of the skin, and then you kind of just create a bit of a tint around it that highlights it even further, and that just continues to create a nice atmosphere around your character. And it's all these little subtle changes that make a big difference to your final product, and it's again the subtleties that make that is the difference between good art and great art. And not saying that my art is fantastic or my art is the best, but it improved because of these tiny little changes that you learn and adapt to. But yeah, you'll see it a bit better in effect if I like add the rest of the shading to it. Alright, but let's go top shirt, or whatever you technically call that. Great, clipping mask. Oh no, wait, wrong layer. But I'll put that there in any case. Clothes. Ah, see, here is the other thing. I put all my clothes on one layer instead of two, so that will present its own problems and perks, but we'll see how that goes. And make it a bit brighter. Come on. Okay, put that back on full. But yeah, I'm doing a very more basic, more realistic approach to the outline for this. I'm just taking the base color and making it a bit darker, maybe a bit warmer, depending on the look, and then using that as the outline color. But like I said, you can go crazy with this. It really depends on what kind of look you're going for. Because yeah, I'll do a bit of a different look in a second. Yeah, so mine is just to create a bit more variation in appearance, to make it a bit more visually pleasing, less boring essentially than just plain old black outlines. Yeah, see, this is the problem of having it all on one layer. Okay, but instead of, what I would do is just like choosing a bit of a darker color. What No Game No Life essentially did is they took like a bright color, something ludicrous like this, and did that. Which, you know, on Old Man Farmer George, it doesn't necessarily capture his vibe. But if, like for example with that anime, everything is meant to be gamer, bright, futuristic, this is the effect that you get. And it immediately puts him in a different world almost. And that's the power of color. That's the power of art. It does things, great things. So yeah, you can do so much with just changing the littlest of things. There you go. It's a bit different. And then compare that to like a just plain black outline. I want to get my green back, yeah. So yeah, it all depends what you want to do, but there's no real right or wrong technique when it comes to coloring. There are some helpful tips and some methods are more effective than others, but nothing is wrong or right. So you kind of just, you do you, boo. You do what's awesome. You do what you like. You do what works for you. Yeah. Close again. Take brown. There you go. Ah, no! Why'd I do that? It's just super simple, straightforward, very easy technique to apply. But it's nice. It works. And I like it. It makes me feel smart because it's a secret technique that is not secret at all. But yeah. Old Man George. I think it's just the hair left. And then the eyes. And then we will essentially be done with Old Man George. Like base everything. Base layers, base colors. Okay, now our mistakes are highlighted. Take that one over there. And some coloring mistakes. Yeah, what I was gonna do, but he only has default brushes on his Photoshop. With hair and whatever, if you can't really get a nice thing to work, I just take a textured brush and then fade it in a bit nicer. And because it's hair, so it's obviously a bit more textured than just skin. And use that to just blend it in a bit more. Yeah, beard. That one, color pick. Guys, I suck at beards. Ooh, wait. Wrong color. Let's try this. Thing. And I think this should be okay for now, anyways. The only thing left are his eyes. And that, again, depending on what vibe you want to go for. Great clipping mask. What I did for the previous stream that I did is I made her, essentially her eyelashes the same color as her hair, which worked pretty nicely, otherwise it was a bit harsh. But I doubt making his eyelashes white. Actually, who knows? We can test this. But the brown works for him. What I am gonna do is now just created this layer under the outline, so I can fill in some of those transparent gaps. But yeah, alright, I'm just gonna do his eye outline, and then I'm also gonna have to sign off because, yeah, the rest of my schoolwork is still waiting, and I think I'm essentially just carrying on a lot longer than I should because I want to procrastinate. But hey, who knows? Yeah, that's the one I want. Iris. Create a clipping mask. Got the blue, and then we go slightly darker. And there we go. This is essentially my process for the basic colors, basic outline, just start to sort of midway. But yeah, that I think is it. So thank you guys again for joining me on this lovely stream. Yeah, please feel free to leave some comments and suggestions, or whatever it is that you think I can change or improve on. Should I like talk less, talk more? Please don't say talk more. My voice can't handle this. But yeah, tell me if I should talk less, like just some general advice, because I would like to improve on my streaming quality. And yeah, some feedback would be lovely in any case, regardless of what it is. So yeah, thank you all for joining me again, and I hope you have a lovely evening, or whatever time you are watching from. So yeah, this is me signing off. Fairly well, y'all.